All right, so this is the only one you haven't met yet. Here is the Mogs, and he's just coming to say hi while we start our math lesson. Say hello. Yes. All right. Okay, so today we are looking at units of time and converting those units, okay? So get out your math journal and look at page 49. And lesson 2.7 is probably going to be split between today and tomorrow because there are so many pages to this lesson, okay? So go ahead and get started and let's get this out and get going. So we're on page 49. And it says to use the measurement scales, these lines, to fill in the tables. So for table 1, all right, so for the chart for number 1, it wants us to look at the hours and make them into minutes. So first off, let's look at these line scales at the top. So our first one is minutes and seconds. So that one's not going to help us with this table. But let's look at the next one. It says hours up top and minutes at the bottom. So if I look at 1 hour, how many minutes is that? It is 60 minutes. If I look at 1.5 hours, how many minutes is that? The line between 1 and 2 hours. 1 hour and 30 minutes is 1 hour and a half is 90 minutes, okay? What if we look at 6 hours? How many minutes is that? Take a second and look. 360. What if I look at 420 minutes? How many hours is that? It's 7. So let's use this line scale, to fill in this chart. I'm going to use blue so you guys can see my answers are in this section, okay? So I'm looking at my scale. And my scale right here, my second scale, says hours and minutes. And 1 hour equals 60 minutes. So I am going to fill in 60. Okay, and we don't have to include our unit because it's already at the top. Now, I want you to look at that same line. What does it say 2 hours is in minutes? 120. Now I want you to look at 3. 3 hours is 180 minutes. What is 5? Take a second and look. 5 hours is how many minutes? 300. And then we have 7. So make sure you look because we skipped certain numbers. We didn't put 4 or 6. How many minutes is 7 hours? 420. Good job. Now I want you to look over at our second chart. We have minutes to seconds. So if we're doing minutes to seconds, all right, so we're going from minutes to seconds. So if I'm looking at my table, at my scale, minutes and seconds, 1 minute is how many seconds? 60. Are you guys noticing a pattern between these two scales? That's Thor playing, saying hi. So the pattern is both of these are converting from 60, right? 1 changes into 60 for both, right? Because we have 60 minutes in an hour and 60 seconds in a minute, okay? So that's why we're going to repeat some numbers. So then we have 4. How many seconds are in 4 minutes? How many seconds are in 4 minutes? 240. Look at your scales. Now how many seconds are in 5? 300. We did that one in our other table. What about for 8? How many seconds are in 8? 480. Now, how many seconds are in 9 minutes? 540. So let's look at something. When we convert, we're multiplying this by 60, right? So let's look. If we're multiplying this, I'm going to make that a little bigger, times 60. So if I'm saying I have 9 minutes, I'm taking 9 times 60 to get how many seconds? Okay? So 9 times 0 is 0, and 9 times 6 is 54. Okay? So that's how we get 540. Okay? That's how we get 540 seconds. Another way you can do it is, okay, just hide this 0. What's 9 times 6? 54. And then we add our 0. Okay, so that's 2 different ways. And it works for this too because it's the same rule that we multiplied by 60. Okay? All right, so get ready to look at our third chart. All right, so are you looking at table 3? This one's different, isn't it? We're still doing hours to minutes, but we're looking at bigger numbers. So we're looking at what makes 600 minutes from hours. How many hours equals 600 minutes? So we could look at our scale because this one is the last one on our scale. But let's also look at it like this. I just showed you that whatever we're doing, it's this number times 60, right? Is how we get this. So what number did I multiply by 60 to get 600? Well, if we cross out this 0 and we hide this 0, so there's a little trick. We're crossing out this 0, crossing out that 0. What times 6 gets me 60? 10. So let's see. 10 times 6 is 60, and then we add our zeros back, and we get 600. So our answer must be 10. Okay, so now what we're going to do is now we are going to take these numbers, times them by 60 to find how many minutes. So what's 15 times 60? So again, we know we're going to put a 0, so let's just do that. So we've already taken care of this 0. Now what's 6 times 5? 6 times 5 is 30. So I'm just going to add a 3 over here. Okay. 6 times 1 is 6. Plus 3 is 900. So 15 hours equals 900 minutes. Okay? So now look at 21. So again, we're just going to take this 0, and he's kind of like our Pete, the placeholder, right? We're just going to put him back up here. Now we're going to take 6 times 21. Well, 6 times 1 is 6, and 6 times 2 is 12. So my answer is 1,260. Now, let's look at 40 hours. So we're taking 40 times 60. Again, we're going to carry that 0 from our 60 up, and we're going to take 6 times 0 is another 0, and 6 times 4 is 2,400. You're going to notice that we're going up. We're going up in hours, so we're going to be going up in minutes. If for some reason you reach a number that's less than the one above it, you might want to check your work because you probably didn't do it correctly. Okay? Now look at 60. So we're taking 60 times 60. So we know we have a 0 here. Now we're doing 6 times 60. 6 times 0 is 0. And 6 times 6 is 36. So we have 3,600. It is the same rule for over here, minutes to seconds. Because 1 minute equals 60 seconds. So 1 times 60 gets us that 60. So our rule is still to multiply by 60. Okay? Now, let's look. We have 11, and we're trying to figure out what 11 times 60 is. So we are going to put our little Pete, the placeholder up here. We're going to take 6 times 6, and we're going to get 6. And then 6 times 1 and get 6. And we're going to do 6 times 1 again and get another 6. So we have 660 for our answer for that one. Now we're looking at 14 minutes. 14 is going to be multiplied by 60 to get our answer. So we're going to carry our 0. 6 times 4 is, think about it, it's 24. Carry my 2. 6 times 1 is 6. Plus 2 is 8. So you should have 840 for that one. Awesome job. Try this next one, 22 times 60. Pause the video, try 22 times 60, and then hit play and see what the answer is. All right, hopefully you paused and tried it on your own. Let's check. So we're going to put a 0 up here from our 60, and then we're going to do 6 times 2 is 12, so I need to carry a 1. 6 times 2 again is still 12, plus my 1, so it's actually going to be 13. So you should have 1,320. Now, we're going to see what times 60 gets us 1,500. We know it's going to be more than 22, but less than 30, okay? Because of where it is on our chart. So, remember our trick. Cross this out, we cross that out, right? Because we are getting rid of our Pete the placeholder. He's taking a break. So now we need to figure out what number times 6 gets us 150. Okay? So this could even be a guess and check where we put in an educated guess and then we see. So like I said, we know it's going to be more than 22 and less than 30. A good number to kind of guess is 25. So let's see what 25 times 6 is. 6 times 5 is 30. Carrying my 3, 6 times 2 is 12. Plus 3 is 15. So we have our 150. So did we find the correct number? Yes, because remember we crossed out that 0. So our answer, our educated guess was correct, and it was 25. Okay, so I'm just going to erase this just so it doesn't confuse you guys. That was just me showing my work. Now, our last section in our chart. We got to bring Pete back. He got a little break, didn't he? So we're going to carry him up here. And then we're going to do 6 times 30. 6 times 0 is 0. And 6 times 3 is 18. So we have 1,800. Awesome job, class. Make sure you filled those in. And let's look at number 5. Solve the problem and use the scale at the top of the page or draw your own. Hal needed to do some errands. It took him 30 minutes to grocery shop, 15 minutes to check out books at the library, and 10 minutes to pick up the dry cleaning. How many seconds did he spend? So I'm going to quickly erase my work here. So they gave us some minutes, and we need to add those up first and then convert it into seconds. So how many minutes did he spend grocery shopping? 30. You can show your work over to the side or underneath the problem, okay? Because I want you guys to do this with me. Then he spent 15 minutes at the library and 10 minutes at dry cleaning, okay? So 0 plus 5 plus 0 is 5. 3 plus 1 plus 1 is 5. So he spent 55 minutes. But they want to know how many seconds. So remember, we have to multiply 55 by what? By 60. But since we know we're going to put Pete down here, I'm actually not lining it up because I'm going to just bloop, bring Pete down, and he's just holding my spot, okay? So you don't even have to line that up. Just line your 6 up over here just like I did. 55 times 6D, okay? It's just a little trick when you're multiplying by a number with a 0, okay? So now 6 times 5 is 30. Carry your 3. 6 times 5 again is, oh no, you can't see my carry. Hold on. Awesome. 6 times 5 was 30. Now 6 times 5 again is 30, but we have to add our 3, so we have 33. So we actually have 3,300 seconds. Okay? So that's our answer for number 5, 3,300. I am going to pause I'm going to start a new video because we need to flip it over and continue our story problems on page 50. We have a few more story problems, so go ahead and click on our next video link.